So, why have a plan for life after high school when you're only in seventh or eighth grade? It's kind of funny because sometimes, my dad used to tell me the reason you have a plan is so that you have something to derive from. So, when I was in seventh grade, I envisioned myself being a big recording engineer. Like, I wanted to work in the recording industry. I wanted to be that person behind the soundboards, mixing records for the biggest pop and jazz stars on the planet. And that is what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to do that when I was in seventh grade, which is crazy, right? Like, who knows how many people know in seventh grade what they want to do? But I did. So I studied music and I totally embraced everything there is about music. I spent hours and hours and hours every day practicing one instrument after another. And by the time I entered high school, I could play piano, flute, clarinet, saxophone, and oboe. And so, I considered myself a woodwind player. I was very versatile. I participated in state solo ensemble every year. I auditioned for groups and went to band camp. Yeah, I know band camp gets a bad rap, but let's face it, it was a lot of fun and I learned a lot and it made me better at my craft, right? And all along the way, I listened to all kinds of different music because I wanted to understand the different sounds. So I listened to heavy metal. I listened to rap. I listened to all kinds of different music so that I was very, very well versed. And then I started looking at going to college. And because I knew I needed to learn, I needed to have the skills. I mean, knowing a little bit about electronics, but I didn't know how to use a soundboard. I didn't know how to set up that kind of equipment, really. I played with it in high school, setting up the sound system for our jazz band concerts and things like that. But, I, knew I was going to have to go to college. So back when in the Stone Ages, when I went to college, you had to research by requesting things through mail, and you were at the mercy of the knowledge that your school guidance counselor had. We didn't have this thing called the internet where I could plunk in a search engine, things I was interested in, and get a million results back, right? So there were a couple schools that I had picked out and they were super expensive, and my parents had saved money for me to go to college. And at one point in time, I had a lot of money to go to college on. But then there was a stock market crash and my plans had to change and I couldn't afford to go to the schools that taught me how to be a sound engineer. So then I had to settle. And I thought, okay, if I can't be on the recording engineer side of the soundboard, I'll be the musician on the other side and I'll be a studio musician and maybe I can get some on the job training to do the job. So in my junior and senior years, I just basically decided I was going to go to college and major in music performance. That is really great, except that in order to make it as a performer in music, you have to be exceptional. And I was just very good. So I graduated from college with a lot of student loan debt and a degree that didn't place me in a job, at least not one that paid. I wasn't making that much money giving private lessons, and gigging on the weekend was just a couple $100 here and there. So I had to get a real job and kind of set my dream aside. So why do you make a plan? Because you have no excuse. In this day and age, when information is at your fingertips, you have absolutely no excuse for not fully researching the different options to get the skills you need to do the jobs you enjoy and want to do that'll make you happy. Because let's face it, you spend more time at work than you do at home. So why not do something you love and figure out a way to make money doing it? Food for thought.